Hey everybody, it's Strict 9 with Strict 9 GP, and it's time to get back to the Phillies. This is, I think, episode 15, but we're just now starting the 2032 season. Um, we're right at opening day. I've gone through all of the off season. Going to try to make this one a little bit abbreviated, but I want to keep going to see if I can still reach the World Series and hopefully win it. And keep it going from some of you guys maybe who have followed me on this series. Um, I kind of made the hint in the other playthrough I'm doing with the Reds that this was a pretty active off season for me. I didn't do a whole lot to improve my pitching, unfortunately, but I made some moves that I'm hoping will at least get us competitive. Last year we won 85 games, so we were only a few wins shy, really, of making the playoffs. So I think, or at least I hope, that what we did in the off season will get us there this year. And I'm just going to go and start out by looking at last year. I actually finished the last episode at the very end of the season, so I'm going to show you how the playoffs turned out and some of the awards, the award winners, and then we'll take a look at the off-season moves I made. First things first would be looking at the playoff history from last year, and I think one of my viewers made a comment that I was really that I really liked Tampa Bay, um, or that I had a soft spot for Tampa Bay. I'm just really kind of amazed at the run they're having in this playthrough. One of the better runs I've seen in any out of the park baseball version I've ever played, really. Last year they ended the season on a run, and this was after I had said early in September that Tampa Bay was not going to make the playoffs this year. They made the wild card really on that last day of the season. They won that game. They swept the Yankees in the division series. They handled Texas in the championship series. They made it all the way to the World Series again, and came within one game of beating the Giants. So it was the Giants who prevailed in seven. It looked like it was a great series, but still just kind of amazing to me how Tampa Bay keeps doing it. I think since I've started this playthrough, and the first season I did was 18 or 17, excuse me. Tampa Bay has now made the World Series 8 times since the 2017 season. That was the first time San Francisco has won it. Actually, first time they made the World Series. So they've been kind of building that team for the last few years. So that was a good win for them. But hats off to Tampa Bay. I can't believe how they just keep winning. And that was after they had lost Justin Bellinger. They still kept going strong. In terms of winners for the offseason, I may have I wish there's a better way of checking this. I really need to probably see if there is. But in terms of the award winners, let me see if I can find him here. Well, sorry, it shouldn't take so long to find these. I'm hoping I didn't overlook it already. Yeah, here we go. We didn't really have any award winners outside of one that I was really happy with, and that was Bobby Austin won the reliever of the year. I kind of felt like he was going to, and he won it pretty handily. So that just his second year in the league, he looks like he's going to be a really good closer for me in the future. Um, I don't think we had any Platinum Stick Award winners. No, uh, Vargas did get that award, so that was his first major award short of the All Star game that he made last year. So good year for him. And as in terms of the Cy Young, that went to Ken Drummond for Texas. In some ways, a fairly weak year. Pitching hasn't been that strong in the American League in this playthrough. And then in the National League, Bobby Austin did get some mention, but it went to Ian Plyler once again, and I think that's his. Yep, it's his fifth Cy Young. Just an amazing run that he's having. Led the league in strikeouts for, I believe, the seventh straight year. Led the league in ERA for the fourth time in his career. I don't know what kind of milestones he's going to get to, but if he gets around 200 wins and keeps the rest of those numbers up, I think he's got a good chance at the Hall of Fame in this playthrough. And then MVP was no surprise, Brandon Kinsler Jr. in the American League. He finished with 72 home runs. Great year for him. And then Kevin Dowdell from Milwaukee won his third MVP. Great career he's having. I don't know if his injuries are going to keep him strong enough to put up some really good milestone numbers, but there's no question since he's been a starter in this league, he's been the most consistently best player, I should say, in the National League. So that's how the awards and the offseason went. Now let's look at, we're not going to be able to see it from the offseason center, I guess, there, but let me see if I can find my transactions. Where were they going to be? So you'd have to go back to the off season of last year, but probably the biggest thing we did, and why don't I just do it from the team menu? That'll be probably a little bit better. So on the pitching side, I picked up Lupe Camacho, a 3-star pitcher. I didn't have to pay a whole lot for him. I got him for 3 years at $7.16 million. He's got great stuff, 4 pitches, although his changeup's fairly weak. The only thing that scares me about him is his stamina. He's not going to go deep into innings, it looks like, and that worries me a little bit. So it was a gamble, and as we all know, if you've been watching this, I had to make some kind of gamble. I just could not sign a pitcher, and I think the only free agents really available were 3-star, maybe 3.5-star was about the best option available, and on some of those they were injury prone, and just pitching is at such a high premium in this playthrough. It's hard to find it. So for the most part, that means that my rotation is going to be similar to what it was last year. Lockfell, believe it or not, though, I think he boosted a few ratings in the offseason. So maybe he can get back to the form that at least got him to those 20 wins a few years ago. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. And then McSparran, he's now a 3-star rated pitcher, which puts him, maybe middle of the pack, 3, 4, 5-star, 3, 4 starter anyway. So I'm hoping that he develops into a good mid-rotation type pitcher. I think he is my 3rd starter. And then Kentelme, he's also up to a 3-star now. And then I'm going to go with Urrutia starting off the year and hope that he gets back to his form of a couple years ago. And then I picked up Joel Compton, who's a 3-star with potential 3.5-star. I think he's got some good ratings for the bullpen. He's listed as a borderline starter, so possible I could fit him into that if it comes to it. But I believe I traded Eric Pine, which was a guy who just came out of nowhere for me last year, and I thought, here's a guy who's got 2 pitches. Control is still pretty weak. I mean, he's got some room to develop, but I thought that was even though he looked good in short amount of time with me last year, I thought I was getting a boost, and I just threw him out there. No, I'm sorry. I think this was a trade initiated by Seattle, so I figured, I can't really pass that up. So pitching is not as improved as I'd hoped. But on the offensive side, I did wind up losing quite a few players. I lost my starting catcher. I wound up re-signing Kelly for another year because he did great platooning last year for me. I picked up Francisco Mejia, who is a 3-star player, has a great history in this league. He's at the tail end of his career, but he's still good defensively, a great personality class. So he's a captain and he's going to take up for the loss of Kanan Smith, who was my catcher for several years. So that was a pretty good pickup. And then I picked up this guy, Stephen Burridge. I picked him up in the Rule 5 draft. He has some great overall ratings, plays several positions, got great speed. I thought he would make a really good platoon and bench player. And then I did lose two big players, of course, from last year. Royce Lewis has been my starting shortstop for a long time. I picked up, wrong guy. I picked up Winciel Perez, who's a defensive wizard at shortstop. And power is not good, but he has great speed, good personality class ratings, great contact, and really, I think his offensive ratings are pretty solid. So I'm really looking for him. If he has the kind of year he had even last year at Chicago, I would be really happy with those numbers. He scored 91 runs for them, had 24 stolen bases. He's got 5-time Gold Glove winner, and I got him for $7.5 million for 4 years with the final year of vesting option. So I thought that was a good pickup. And then the biggest pickup, which losing Elman, I needed some more offense in that outfield, and I picked up Josh Ash from Cincinnati, and I paid a lot for him. This is the biggest free agent signing I've ever had in this playthrough, and the biggest contract I've ever signed. But you look at what he did last year, it was pretty amazing, and he has had some really good productive years in his career. I'm hoping that he's not too injury prone. The last couple years he's been solid. Last year, 53 home runs, though, 6.0 wins above replacement. Been really a great player, and I picked him up for 6 years, but the last one's going to be a player option. It's a high contract. I'm probably not going to get the value of it at the end of those last few seasons, but I think this guy was a really big upgrade over Elman, and probably the best offensive player now on the team. So those are the kind of moves that we made. Another thing that was really good was finally our minor league system got a little bit of a boost. We're no longer last. So we've got this guy, right fielder Kevin Cox, who I drafted first a couple years ago, or last year. He's already at Reading in Double-A. His numbers potentially look really good, really solid, and he is looking even better from OSA. I really think this guy's going to develop in another year or two. I think he's going to turn into a starter. He's looked good in the minors so far. And then another outfielder, Condry, a shortstop. He's got some ways to go before he starts to develop. I'm probably going to move him, actually, if he's not already. Now, he's still at the rookie league level. I'm going to move him up to short A, at least for the start of this year, and see if he takes off from there. But I hope that within a few years he'll be ready to go if his numbers play out. He's going to have some power. He's got some speed. And his infield defensive ratings are good. I just hope he picks up a little bit better position rating at shortstop. But that was the offseason that we had, and we looked pretty good in spring training. I think we won was it 15? We were 15-13, tied with the Mets for second. And the preseason predictions have us finishing close to the playoffs at 83-79. I'm hoping we play a little bit better than that. And I hope that we have some guys who show up. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody showing up as our top performers, either hitters and pitchers, but I hope we have some good performances, especially from action. Maybe Vargas can repeat his year. And then AAA, I'm going to start out. This guy, Ernesto Babon, I guess is how you say it. He's a free agent minor league player who came in to my team a couple years ago. Some people don't like doing that, but I will occasionally, when I run out of players on some of those minor league teams, I'll just let the system generate fictional players. And I kind of like that when it does, when you find people who even develop that way into regular players. Sometimes you'll have guys who um, develop into all stars by doing that, and I kind of like seeing that. I kind of treat it as like some guy who's just like in his last gasp, uh, out of options, and he just gets that one last chance to prove himself. And this guy might have a chance at making the starting rotation if Urrutia doesn't hold up. And then I've got um, Castro. I sent down to the minors because he had such a bad year for me last year. I'm hoping he develops pretty good. And then Chris Andrus, I'm hoping that he can get a little bit better position rating at catcher because he's just not. His offense looks good, but he's not strong enough defensively to trust. And I didn't really want to do it, but I had to move Cameron Tennessee back down. I think when this, I think when Rafael Devers, when his contract runs out this year, I think I'm going to give Tennessee a chance to start. And if there are any injuries to the infielders on the Phillies, Tennessee will be the first guy I call up. So what I'm going to do now is just get the season started. I'll play through a few games. I may not cover as much in this Phillies season on these playthroughs. Maybe once a week or so I'll catch back up with it. But I want to keep playing this one, and at least I'm determined to make that World Series. So let's see if we can have a good year. Let's start out. We're opening up at home against Miami, and first game is a shutout. So that's a good way to start out. Barge a good game, Vargas a good game, Vanden Heuvel looking good, and it was Lockfeld, and uncharacteristically, no walks in 8 1/3 innings. I'm really hoping this guy is going to turn it around. I really need him to. And see if there's anything big injury already, but he's just day to day. So second game of the series, 7-6 in extra innings. Vargas, pretty good game. Josh Ash looks like he got his first home run for me. Solid game. Juan Ochoa had a good game. And then the Camacho didn't look too good. He did have 6 strikeouts in 3 1/3, but he didn't last into the 4th inning. So that's a big worry I have with him. And Addison Russell's still hanging in there. He's unbelievably, he is rated at 4.5 stars by my scout, and I think four by OSA. He signed a pretty big contract there, $23.6 million with a vesting option next year, but he's had a pretty decent career. Average hasn't been that great, but some good power numbers overall. So looking for a sweep of Miami to start it out, and we do. 7-2, big win. Got a good offensive series there for us. Choa, another good game, 3 for 4. Got his second home run. Barge off to a good start in that series. Vanden Heuvel a good start. And McSparron picked up his first win of the year, but he looked a little shaky. 4 walks in 5 innings. But I'll take the win any way I can get it. And Chris Selway, he's going to be out for the season. That's a big blow for Kansas City. He's been their best pitcher for the last several years. He's probably into the twilight of his career, but he's had a good career for them. And Drummond, last year's Cy Young Award winner, he's already injured for 5 months. Big injuries right there off the bat. And Cincinnati signs Hunter Green, who I thought was injured to start. He's not injured, but he's been injury prone for a lot of his career. And Dave Cochran, a big closer in free agency, finally signs with the A's for $15 million. So first week in the books, or at least the first few games, we are 4th on the weekly team power ranking. Now we're going to start. We're going to play the Mets. Looks like at home for 3, and still winning 7-4. Perez, a good game from him. Vanden Heuvel's still solid this year. Arenthal looks like he played for. I'm going to give him quite a few starts against lefties in place of Bards, who just his ratings aren't that solid. Austin picked up his first save of the year. So win again. We've 5-0 to start the year. Vargas a good game, 2 for 4. De Vandenhoeven off to a great start. He's 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs in that game, and Urrutia pitched a good game, 2 runs in 6 innings, 6 strikeouts. Austin got his second save. So can we start the season with 2 sweeps? No, 3-6. Vargas a good game, but looks like, and Lockfeld a good game. 7 innings, just 2 runs, but Austin blew it in relief. Uncharacteristic of him. So that was his first loss, first blown save of the year. Now we're going up against the Dodgers for 3, and that's going to be on the road. Win that first game 9-3. That's a good. Offense is looking really good. I was hoping that that's how we would start. Mejia, a good game from him, 3 for 3. Burridge playing in right in place of Ochoa. Looks like Axe picked up his second home run. And Camacho got the win. He bounced back after that terrible start. And Coreyline's still out there too. He signs with the Cubs for $18.8 million. Whew. 2 years with a team option next year. I'm wondering if they're going to try him as a starter. He was okay as a starter for me, but much better in the bullpen. And we win again, 3-2 over the Dodgers. Perez 2 for 5. Neidiger playing in right, drove in a few runs. Devers off to a pretty good start. Axe has been kind of slow. Give him time to adjust. McSparron picked up his second win. Looked good in this one. Just 1 earned run in 6. Austin got his second save. And now, last game of the series, and it's another sweep, 5-2. So we are 8-1 to start out the year. That's unbelievable. Vargas off to a good start again, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. Devers 2 for 4 in this game. Axe still struggling, but I'm going to have to give him time. Cantelmi picked up his second wins, looking good so far. Austin his third save. So let's see how the week's looking. Guerrero, yeah, he's still injury prone, but he's going to be out for 6 weeks, looks like. Mike Green. I don't know if Oakland's tried to trade me this guy before. He's a 3-star pitcher, but he's fragile, and I'm not too happy with that control rating. I think that would be a gamble, so I'm going to pass on that one. So, players of the week, Kevin, I have a hard time saying his name, Maitan, for Detroit now, and Josh Porter at Pittsburgh. And Zach Rowland, pretty good closer, 4.5 stars. He finally signed with Milwaukee. Not sure why some of these closers are staying so long. Another reliever, man, 5-star. He signed with Atlanta. That was a good pickup for them, just $10 million. And we are first in weekly power rankings. Let's look at the standings. We're off to an 8-1 start, but even look at that division. It's gonna be pretty tight. Miami though off to a terrible start, 2-7. Pittsburgh looking strong, and Milwaukee, St. Louis 0-10. That's pretty bad. And then Colorado off to a surprising start. And then in the American League, looks like that West has started out really good. Several teams 500 or above. And then Toronto at 7-3, just a half game over the Yankees, and Baltimore struggling at 1-9. Anything looking really big in terms of? I don't see anything really crazy. It's too early to really start thinking about too much of these numbers, but Sean Barge is second in the league in batting average at 407 so far. He's not going to get a whole lot of playing time. If you look at the lineup, like I said, I'm going to be starting him pretty much all the time against righties unless he's I guess injured or tired. It looks like Stephen Burridge is injured for a couple days. But against lefties, I'm going to play him or sit him every fourth game. So over the course of a season, he might get 130 starts or so at second, or maybe a little bit more than that, 140. But a good start for him. I hope he has another good year. And let's see if there's anybody else leading the way. Devers on a 9-game hitting streak, and that's current. Bobby Austin, Zach Cantelme, and wins. That's too early. And then Lockfeld with his .6 wins above replacement. He's one of the leaders there. I'm going to also keep checking that waiver wire early on. Looks like Eric Durniak, a lefty, bullpen emergency starter, but he's fragile. He had a pretty decent year for Atlanta a couple years ago in 2030. Let's see, 2.5 from OSA as well. I'm going to ride what I've got so far. Let me play another week out and see if we can keep this winning going. Looks like we're away against the Mets now and shut out the first game 3-0. Looks like our offense finally got cold there. Urrutia only 4 innings, but didn't look too bad. Didn't give up an earned run. Medina looking pretty good. Second game, let's see if we can salvage the series. We win 3-2. Vargas another good game. Devers another good game. Carson Kelly playing in place of Mejia looked good. And Lockfeld picked, he didn't get the win, but just 2 runs in 5 2/3. Bobby Austin got his 4th save. Another injury there for Washington. Let's see, 2-star player though, not too big, but he's gone for the year. Let's see if we can win this series, and we do big, 10-4. Vargas another solid game. Barge 4 for 4 with 5 RBIs. Great game for him. Axe may have picked up his 3rd home run of the year, and Ochoa another home run for him. He's looking good. He's going to get a whole lot of limited playing time this year. I'm only going to play him against righties, but showing some power early. Camacho, though, a minor injury, but he only lasted a couple innings. Good job with the bullpen to hold on and win the game. So we have yet to lose a series, and 10-2. Royce Lewis, who just came up in the news thing, he signed with the Yankees, and he hit for the cycle. So what do you think about that? I don't think it's something he's ever done for me. Let me see if he has history here, if it says game achievements. I don't know if it has anything where it's just like, yeah, that's the first time he's done that, hit for the cycle, but good for him. He signed a really good contract with them. $16 million. It looks like about 16.5 or so million for 5 years. I don't really think he's going to be playing a lot of that contract out because of his injuries, but he's a solid player when he's healthy. So now we're up against St. Louis, and oh man, Cameron, Tennessee is going to be out for a couple weeks. Hope he doesn't start getting injury prone. So right now, St. Louis is 1-12. So hopefully we're not the team that they get hot against. San Diego's struggling too at 10-2 or 2-10. So first game on the road at St. Louis, we win 7-2. Big injury there. Where was that? I think it must have already put him on the DL. 7-2. Vargas solid. Barge solid. Axe scored a couple runs. Burridge, Vandenhoeven, some pretty good games. McSparron didn't pick up the win, but he gave me 5 1/3 with just 2 runs. And Compton He's yet to give up an earned run so far this year in 8 innings. So now we're going for second game. Let's see if we can keep up the winning. And we do big, 17-8. Holy cow. This offense is going to be, I think, pretty scary once they keep playing and if they keep playing like this. Of course, I like what our chances, but I really do think with the pickups I made, I really made that offense better. But you can see Vargas, another solid game, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, 2 hits in that game. He's on his pace is even better than last year, but he's showing a lot of power so far this year. 4 home runs already. Axe had a good game. Ochoa, a good game. Vandenhoeven, wow, that is a great line from him. 2 for 2, 4 runs, 4 RBIs, 3 walks. We just really dominated this game offensively. Cantelme picked up his 3rd win. Bullpen was shaky in a couple places, but pretty good. So we've won this series. We have yet to lose a series. We're 12-2, and let's see if we can do another sweep. And we don't. 2-10. I'd be interested to see if they put Plyler in this game. He's probably St. Louis's only bright spot at this point, and it was Ian Plyler. He picked up his first win, a complete game, 2 runs, 12 strikeouts. Vandenhoeven had a great game. Look at the pace he's on. I would never have expected a start like that from him, even though I've been, if you've been watching this playthrough, I've been solid on him throughout. I would like to see it reflected in his ratings, because I think he is I think his numbers are solid up and down, and that usually translates into a good player if you give him play time. But pitching wise, it was Urrutia who just really stunk it up. So I think already I'm what I was talking about at the start of the episode, I may already be looking at trying this guy from AAA, even though he's looked terrible in AAA. I think he might be a better overall mix right now than Urrutia. But I'll give him maybe a couple more starts, since we're just playing so good overall, and see if I need to make that call. But looking at the news, let's see what we got here. St. Louis lost Soroka for the season. McGarry done. I'm not familiar with him. Chris Woodley won the Player of the Week award in the American League, and this is really part of the reason Tampa Bay did what they did last year. This guy's only 25. He was Rookie of the Year in last year, and didn't even play a full season. And I think he's going to be a pretty solid player for him if he stays healthy. And then Jake Coulter, who Cincinnati picked up in place of losing Axe. To me, he won the Player of the Week award in the National League. He's fragile, but man, his numbers are similar to who they lost. So he's a pretty good overall player too. And Bryce Harper finally retires. So what's his final line? I don't know if that means he's going to retire at the end of the year, though. Let me see. Let me take a look at Arizona and see if that's what that's. Well, sorry. Arizona off to a pretty good start. No, he's still on the roster. I think that means he's probably going to retire at the end of the year. But you can see the numbers that he put up in this playthrough. Average wasn't really there, especially towards the end of his career. Productivity was always there. He always drew a lot of walks. Power numbers were pretty solid. He finished with 500. Well, he has 512. I don't know if he'll finish with that. 1,600 plus runs. I don't know. I think in terms of the Hall of Fame in this playthrough, he he won some awards, Rookie of the Year. Of course, that was before I started simming, and MVP before I started simming in 2015. This playthrough wasn't really all that nice to him, but I would have to. There's going to be some deliberations. You have to take it all into account. He was a pretty productive player in the peak of his career, and he's finishing with just under 80, or maybe even he might play enough time this year to get to 80 wins above replacement. I think that would be good enough to get him in the Hall of Fame. But now, looking at the weekly power ratings, we're first still. We are 12-2, 12-3. We have the best record in all of baseball. It's just 15 games, but that's a great start. And some players showing up on the leaderboards: Sean Barge, Vargas for stolen bases, Vandenhoeven even showing up. And he has such a good eye that if he starts hitting with a high average, he's going to get some walks, and I think his on-base percentage is going to be good. Zach can tell me up there with wins. Tyler Nevin, 8 home runs. Pretty good. But this is an amazing start. I hope we can keep it up. If I'm looking at how we are looking overall, their team statistics, that offense is just, look at that. First batting average, on-base percentage, slugging, on-base and slugging, runs scored. That's pretty impressive. I don't know if we'll keep that up, but I definitely do feel like we're better offensively than we were last year. And the pitching is doing better. So defensive efficiency, which was about last, that's improved a little bit too. So it's still early, but I like where we're going. I'm probably going to play out to, I'll probably go to the All-Star break or so before I give another episode on this Phillies team, but hope you keep going with me. I really think I'm on the verge of doing something good with this team, and I was wondering when that was going to happen too. If I can keep, it's going to be tough to keep that up maybe, but I finally, for my career as a GM on this playthrough with the Phillies, I finally made it to 500. It's been that's been a struggle to get to. If you look, those first few years were tough, and I was in a hole for a lot of those years, and it took me a while before I started winning and winning consistently. But it's nice to be there. I'm hoping that I will, when I finish this playthrough, that's another goal that I have. I've talked about it before, how that's part of the role-playing aspect of this game, where you can kind of work on your reputation as whatever, if you're GM or manager, whatever you decide to do in the game. I would like to finish with, I think legendary is the top one. But I would like to finish as close to that reputation as I can, but I definitely want to get my career record above 500. So that's something to shoot for. But thanks for watching again, and hope you like this episode, this playthrough, and you'll keep up with it. And also hope you're liking what I'm doing with the Reds. We're also doing really good there. Just finished the draft in that one, and believe it or not, after the draft, I played ahead a few games, like a week or so, and we're on another winning streak, and we're at 500. So getting the Reds to 500 this year, I think, would be almost miraculous. But it's a good sign where we're at, and I'm hoping we're getting better. But hopefully you'll keep up with that series too. But as always, thanks for watching and supporting, and I will see you next episode.